Hello. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday. I hope I'm on. Everything is like spinning so slowly today. I don't understand how I can like live in this fairly large city and have it be such an issue to be live here. But anyway, yeah, right. Yeah, Cindy's saying, "Hey." All right. Well, I don't know about y'all, but it's been like a crazy week for me as things have been getting darker and darker and darker, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." Like the weather right now is really sort of impacting me in terms of my energy level, and I'm like so excited to I know that a lot of you know that I did a cleanse I think it was a couple of weeks ago now that I did the like Ayurvedic kind of cleanse, and that was awesome. So that was just like a quick reset. It was only for a few days, but now I'm gonna do my like regular fall nourishing cleanse. I like to do the rainbow cleanse around now, which is where I just focus on eating a lot of colorful foods and I cut out alcohol and gluten. Well, I haven't had alcohol in a while anyway, but just really looking forward to that cleanse. And that helps shift my energy. Like almost immediately, I started feeling more energy. So I was excited about that. Now, it is October, y'all. And what I'm going to do is I want to talk about money today because last week on the podcast, on the Rebel Buddhist podcast, I was talking about how to define your own freedom, right? And when we are defining our own freedom, we start to get, like, okay, well, what do I really want this to look like? What do I really want my life to be designed as? And as we do that, oftentimes we start getting a lot of sort of existential questions like, am I being too materialistic in the things that I want? Or am I being focused too much on things? And should I just be content with what I have? And, in that process, oftentimes what we end up seeing a lot is money, money coming up, right? And so when we are having money as a topic of happiness, it lends itself to the question, hey, what about money and happiness? And can it buy happiness? And I actually get really annoyed when people are like, oh, hey, like money can't buy happiness and you should just focus on your mindset and shit. Because I grew up poor, and what I do know is that there are a lot of people who have a lot of suffering that can go away if they had a little bit more money, right? Maybe they'd have different suffering, but they would at least solve some problems. And you all have heard me say plenty of times, money does not necessarily buy happiness, but it can solve a lot of fucking problems. So for a lot of people, you know, if they're not getting basic needs met, then they cannot allow themselves to have the time and the space to even think about designing the life of their dreams, for example, right? So one of the first things I want to mention is a study that showed in the United States, income levels between 60 to 75,000 were where the sweet spot was, where happiness scales did actually go up when people reach that. And that's probably because in this country, if you're making that much, you're probably okay on healthcare and some like access to healthcare, access to healthier food and shelter. And depending on where you live. But that particular income level can really help meet some basic happiness needs. So, finally, there's a study that acknowledges that happiness is correlated to some degree with income level. But what's interesting is that it doesn't increase the more you make as much as we think. So there is a difference between sort of the sense of well being, which is how we think of our life every day. Then there's also the happiness in terms of how satisfied we are with our life in general. Now, that satisfaction level does tend to go up until about like 95,000, right? then like so from 75 to 95,000, the studies have shown that that particular scale does increase. But what's interesting is that 105,000 above that, happiness tends to decrease, satisfaction tends to decrease. Okay? Multiple reasons for that. Things like the golden handcuffs, like people staying in jobs that they don't like because they don't want to leave what they've got, right? So there is a correlation to some degree with money and a sense of well being. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to be that way. With a lot of thought work, a lot of managing of your mind, like we do in Freedom School, right? You can actually not even need that to be happy. And we've seen it. I mean, my family didn't make that much, and we definitely had some happy time. But I tell you, we had some fucking hard times too, right? Like that shit is real. Like we were so stressed about money sometimes, and it caused fights and tensions and things like that, right? So I can see why that income level is correlated. Now, having said that, so okay, money is correlated in some ways to that. What level do you want? What level do you need? So, like I said earlier, we can create levels of happiness and contentment without achieving a certain level. We've seen it. We've seen it with sadhus in India that don't have anything. They literally walk around with nothing, right? Maybe they're mala or something like that. And they can be content, right? So it's not necessary. But in our in our particular culture, in our particular culture, it'd be really hard to be a sadhu and walk around with nothing and have people support you with food alms and things like that. So what I like to ask people to do is to differentiate what are the different degrees of your attachment to wanting certain things when you're creating your certain level of a dream life, right? Because when we get spiritual and we say, hey, it's your thoughts and you don't need things, like that's the ultimate truth. But the relative truth is, it's also fun to have nice shit. It's fun to go on good vacations. It's fun to eat organic food and not just eat the cheapest food, right? Things like that. So I'd like people to get really clear because oftentimes we overestimate how much we need to earn in order to meet some of our basic uh, wants for contentment. So I like people to sort of create three different levels, right? Like, what is the level of wealth that you need in order to take those, budget friendly vacations that would make you happy, to eat healthy food, to live someplace that's safe, like what are those basic needs for you? Not basic in the sense of survival, but in terms of being content. I used to think that that was like over $100,000 a year. And when I actually did that exercise, when I did my entire budget, what is the minimum I need? Like, not if I had to pay a big mortgage, but like if I lived in this apartment, how much would that rent be? And how much would my gas be? How much would my groceries be if I was buying organic food? But trying to be reasonable about it, right? Like not organic packaged expensive food delivered to my house or something, right? Like going through all of those different levels, what does that look like? Right? And I came up to it was $65,000, which interestingly is in the range of what the study showed, right? Then the next level is, what if you can make it like super sweet, right? So, like, ooh, I want to take off work for this much time. So, if I have my own business and I'm not working during that time, like, how can I be earning income? Or would I just not earn income during that time and I have to factor that in, etc. What type of vacations do I want to take? How much are plane tickets? How would I budget for the hotels? Like, how much would those two vacations cost me? Um, Clothing, the kind of car you want to drive, all of that. So you can come up with that as your like, this would be pretty sweet number, right? Not your like blow out of the water number, that comes later, but like, what would that number be? And it's really important because when you quantify something, when you quantify your dream of this is how much money I would like to earn, and I have the data that shows it, That would be great. And the reason, I love doing the minimal contentment one because I just got so relaxed when I saw, I was like, oh, so if I make 65,000 a year, like I'm gonna be okay. Like, and then I could just fucking relax about it already, right? And then it's like, ooh, what's the sweet spot though? Okay, so now is that 150 grand a year? Is that like 200 grand a year? Whatever. What is that sweet spot? So, really actually writing out the numbers, like going online and downloading a sample, like monthly budget, filling everything in so that you have the data, so that you're not just thinking, well, I would need to make 100 grand in order to be happy. No, actually put the numbers in, put in what all of the costs would be so that you get that, right? For your minimum contentment, you're like, this would be sweet. And then the final one that's super fun to dream about is what if you could like do anything, right? And for me, that would be like, I want to have a nonprofit donation only meditation center, like in someplace gorgeous in Alaska, like either on the ocean or in the mountains. That would just be so amazing to me. Like, what do I need to earn to create that? Right? What do I need to earn to be able to donate X amount of money to these organizations that I really care about? What if I wanted to, if my parents were still alive when I was, achieving the level of success that I am now, I would have absolutely like, oh, I would buy them a sweet place to live, right? Or pay for them to live in an amazing condo with like somebody that could help them with their daily activities, right? Like, what would it cost to be able to do that? And really imagining what that number would be, what that sweet spot would be, right? Oh, hey, y'all. I see some more people hopping on. Say hi, send me some love, send me some hearts. We're talking about money today. So, minimum contentment, this would be pretty sweet. And what would just be super dreamy, right? And I do think it's important personally to not just think about, what would I do for myself with this money, but what would I be able to do for others with this money? One of the things I say in the podcast this week is it's not that money is evil in and of itself. It's how you earn it and what you do with it, right? Think about small plane flying overhead. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's like the end of the like epic flying season by the lake over here. So, because all the planes in Alaska near in our area can land on water, they're amazing. So, we are thinking about how can I earn this with integrity? And how can I spend it in a way that brings me happiness and makes the world a better place? Because think about if most of the millionaires in the world were philanthropists. What if most of the billionaires in the world were philanthropists, right? So I want y'all to be earning some good money and doing magical shit with that, right? There's so many great things that we can do when we look at it as energy. So we really need to also get past our mindset of money is this thing that I should avoid, and if I earn it, I'm evil and I'm giving in to the man and all this kind of stuff, right? No, 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 no. You get to decide how you earn it. You get to decide what you do with it. It can be this amazing creative force. Like, I think about the meditation centers I've been to, like Spirit Rock. Do you know how Spirit Rock got there? Someone fucking gave a bunch of money so that they could build it, right? Without someone wealthy donating that, it wouldn't exist, right? I think about Kopan Monastery, where I did my first 30-day retreat, right? In Nepal. How did that get built? Donations by wealthy people. There are so many amazing things that we could do if we gave ourselves permission to think of money not in this evil way as this thing that causes problems, but as a thing that can allow more creativity, more compassion, more ways to positively change the world. So, getting really clear about your thoughts about money and about your money blocks is going to be super important in doing this work because whether you like it or not, money is a part of society. I know several people that went to become monks or nuns, and they had to actually give up their vows because in our culture, you can't just go around asking for alms, right? That's not how the United States is set up. You could do it in Thailand and stuff like that, less and less now, but it's not supported in our culture. And one of the vows of a monk or nun is not to interact with money. And so they had to like give up their vows because money's a part of our culture, whether we like it or not. So cleaning up your relationship with money is super important. We have a whole month on this in Freedom School. It's awesome. But cleaning up your relationship with money, your mindset around money. So much of my mindset for a long time had been to earn it takes a lot of fucking work, right? Because that's what I saw. That was what was modeled for me. The only way you get it is to work really hard for it, and it kind of sucks to earn it. And I was like, I don't really want to suffer that way. And it's like, well, what if that was a patriarchal view of how you have to earn money? And what would a more holistic view look like? Like, is it possible? And it is. It is possible. I'm living proof of it, right? So, cleaning up the mindset. What are your thoughts about money? Two, getting really clear about your numbers, an actual quantification of what is the minimum you need to earn to be content. Know that number so that it's clean now. You're no longer wondering. And oftentimes we overestimate what that number is. All right. The what would be super sweet number? Like, it's not your like most extravagant lifestyle, but you're taking the vacations you want to take. You're visiting the family and friends you want to visit. You are living and eating and dressing in a way that uplifts you, right? And then what is your full on dream amount where you can create what you want in this world and make this world a better place? What would you like to earn for that, right? And do the numbers. Because sometimes we think, well, I just want to be a billionaire. And it's like sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's just 500,000 to build to like start a nonprofit retreat center and this and that. Like that's how much you need. So really actually get the numbers for these because it's so powerful. The reason that you want to do that big dream number is because if you can't imagine it, it can't happen. You first have to imagine. The iPhone had to be imagined before it became a reality. Your dream has to be imagined in detail before it becomes a reality. So that's the importance of doing that. It doesn't mean that your happiness and your ultimate happiness relies on that. That's not what it means. It just means that now that you've thought about it, you're creating the possibility. Okay? So I want you to really think about that. I want you to listen to the podcast tomorrow. And I want you to really do that work so that you can clean up your mindset around money. Okay? Okay. So I'm sending y'all lots of love. Have an amazing week. Clean up that money mindset, right? Use it as a way to add to your happiness, but don't be attached to it for happiness, right? We can celebrate its abundance. We can call in its abundance. We can see how it can benefit us and use it skillfully, right? And I want you to get so clear about that because then you can start creating it. Okay, bye. I know, right? It's like, oh, I'll let you end this. Okay, bye, y'all. Thanks for the love. Okay, see you next week. Oh, and Freedom School closes tomorrow night. So be sure to sign up if you can. Join freedomschool.com, y'all. We can really work on that money mindset, okay? Bye.